Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified Doctor of Naturopathy, Dr. Stephen Cabral, shares with you exactly how you can reverse aging, take back your health, and live a life full of energy and passion, with new 20-minute episodes every single day to keep you healthy and engaged. Now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here today, brand new Cabral Concept. Today's show is going to be about how EMFs can affect your mast cells or histamine-based production. And if you're not exactly sure what that is, what I want to share with you is a list of symptoms that may be coming from an overactive histamine-based response and how it is possible for EMFs to be causing this particular issue. So like any overall health issue that we look at, we never typically look at just one thing, but with histamines, we're often looking at the gut. We're looking at our digestive system, we're looking at the foods we eat. And what I want to share with you is that sometimes there are other varying factors that greatly overflow that rain barrel. And when your rain barrel does overflow, you end up with these specific histamine-based reactions. I'm going to share them with you right now, see if any of them click, okay? So lightheadedness, dizziness, brain fog, weakness, fatigue, pins and needles, sometimes in the hands especially, or down the neck, low blood pressure, lightheaded upon standing, weakness after exercise or exercise intolerance, skin itchiness, whether it be after a sauna or exercise or just in the heat, can be an issue, loss of appetite, weight loss. It could be weight gain, but oftentimes we see in our practice, we see like loose stool sometimes, or it could cause the opposite, constipation, sometimes nausea, even in the morning without food, chest pain, like tightness in the chest. What else? Headaches is a big one. I used to have terrible headaches when I was younger, especially from that overactive mast cell production. And hives, of course, is one. Skin rashes are others. And the last one is like tired eyes or vision-based issues. So those are big symptoms of histamine-based reactions. And I want to share with you how that happens and what other EMF-based issues there may be as well, especially related to mood. But what EMFs are, so these electromagnetic frequencies, are also varying types of radiation. So we've got ionizing and non-ionizing radiation. Most of us hear about radiation from like an X-ray, but hopefully too often you're not getting an X-ray. So that's not something that we need to worry about as much, but certainly it is a worry. I mean, because it does essentially zap your body with radiation. Now, luckily, the X-rays they have in at least larger hospitals have less ionizing radiation than they had before, but nonetheless, it's still not good. And yes, there are potential issues with getting exposed to radiation. But what a lot of us forget is just being out in the sun for a long period of time. And I'm not someone that says you should shy away from the sun, but that ultraviolet light exposure absolutely does have a level of ionizing radiation to it. Now, it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing and you want that vitamin D in your body, but just understand that if you're someone who's dealing with the itchy eyes, the itchy skin, the headaches, the hives, the skin rashes, the lightheadedness, dizziness, all that, well, you just need to be a little bit more careful with long extended sun exposure. Just kind of keeping that in mind. You probably already know that. You can't go in the sauna for a half hour at high heat, but maybe a little sauna, right? So you're kind of working your way up, and I'll get to that in a moment. But then there's also these non-ionizing radiation, where a lot of the Wi-Fi that we believe or that we know comes from, all right? And the kind of more that you might be familiar with. Laptops, iPads, tablets, cell phones, those are the big ones, right? Computers, anything with Bluetooth, Wi-Fi based devices, big source that a lot of new parents kind of figure out as they get into the natural health based scene is that baby monitors, huge source of EMFs. So you want to keep that at least 6 feet away from your baby. You still be able to hear just fine, but of course, much less exposure to them and yourself as well. Wi-Fi routers anywhere in the house is a big issue. Smart TVs, where that Wi-Fi is being beamed to. Microwave ovens still is a big source of EMFs and non-ionizing radiation. Whole house meters, I talked about this in my book, The Rain Barrel Effect, years ago, still valid to this day. Whole house meters now are becoming even more popular. And so that the trucks basically that read your electrical meter, they don't need to stop and take a look at your meter anymore. They can simply drive by, or what happens is one house beams to the next house, which beams to the next house, which eventually goes to the tracking base station or a vehicle that's able to read all of these. Power lines can be one, and varying forms of MRIs or medical-based devices. So these are all ways that we're exposed. I mean, every single one of us exposed to EMFs in some way or another, or radiation on a daily basis. It's so difficult based on the modern world that we live in. So we can simply try to do our best. The problem is that if you are someone with mast cell mastocytosis, mast cell activation syndrome, or just higher levels of histamines, the same reactions that I was talking about earlier, then you need to be able to reduce your exposure. So we'll get to that in just a moment, because it's not like we don't need the sun and we're not going to use our phone ever again. So it's just, what level of symptoms are you feeling? One thing that I was able to do when I had my physical practice in Boston, now of course it's a virtual practice, I used to be able to put people's blood on a slide under a microscope. And I would actually look at their blood and I could see the mast cells. Now the mast cells, if you're into histology, or if you're into, looking at the blood and you can show it to people. I mean, they're these beautiful, big immune cells, and you can actually see the granules inside that can be released as cytokines and histamines that create essentially inflammation within the body. And that inflammation now within the body is what leads to these symptoms. So the problem is, though, it's seeing allergens as something that's foreign to the body and it's attacking them. That's typically when histamine is released. So even before Wi-Fi and all these things were present, our bodies would release histamines if we were sensitive to things like dog dander, right? Or grass, mold, and pollen outside. So our body would naturally produce histamines. The problem is you may already be sensitive to those chemicals outside, or even natural-based chemicals, but now you're sensitive to maybe the cleaner that's being used in your house, or the detergents, or all the different scents, and now you're becoming more sensitive to EMFs. That's what we see in our practice. We don't see people that are typically naturally allergic, and I'm using that in air quotes, to EMFs. What we see is that rain barrel begins to get filled up, right? So your rain barrel, so you're already sensitive. There's already gut issues. There's already maybe parasites or H. pylori or candida or SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or heavy metals. There's all these different things. And then what happens is you already have inflammation. Now you might develop pet sensitivities or outdoor allergen sensitivities or food sensitivities. So now, again, the rain barrel continues to fill. And then all of a sudden now you become much more sensitive to what is called multiple chemical sensitivities, all different scents and cleaners and different additional foods, or even things like, a vanilla extract or whatever it might be. You become more sensitive to it. And you're also sensitive now to the EMFs you're being bombarded with, because your nervous system is inflamed, your brain's inflamed, and your body's now hyper vigilant, and it's producing more and more of these mast cells and more histamines. Why this is an issue is that you just end up with systemic-based inflammation and what is called oxidative stress. So all of the different allergens, food-based, or environmental, or EMFs can create oxidative stress. And the oxidative stress can then do what? Well, it can damage the nervous system. It can damage the intestines and digestion. It can damage the immune system. And it can also damage the DNA, which Wi-Fi and EMFs have been proven to do. So now what you have essentially is damage systemically from inflammation and internally inside of the cells in the DNA. And that's a recipe for disaster, because what happens is those cells begin to replicate, and they replicate more poorly as you begin to age. And histamines are a big part of that. So what we try to do in our practice is assess, is this a histamine issue, and then begin to empty that rain barrel. Typically, it's through a, let's say, 21-day functional medicine detox. We might do a CBO protocol if it's the gut. We'll do a heavy metal protocol. If there's heavy metals, we'll do a parasupport protocol. If there's parasites, we'll do immunity protocol to boost the immune system. We'll use a product like HistPro, which is quercetin, stinging nettles, bromelain, vitamin C, that that works phenomenally well. And at the same time, we'll run at-home lab tests to see, okay, what exactly for specifics may we need? But then we'll also begin to remove a lot of the EMF-based exposure. So once we let people know the sun is good for you, too much in this stage might be really taxing for your body. Like, for example, when you're out in the sun for a while, do you get exhausted? Okay, it could be a histamine-based reaction. So some sun, great, some sauna, great, like what we do is we gently increase the threshold of the body while working on the underlying root causes. So as I've said before, that you only get sick for basically two main reasons. One is you have deficiencies, vitamins, minerals, amino acids from proteins, etc. And you've got another one, which is toxicities. So one part too little, deficiencies, one part too much. That's the parasites, the H. pylori, the candida, the bacteria, the heavy metals, the viruses, the EMFs, all that, right? Those are all toxicities, and we begin to lower those. Now, the more that we can lower those, the less deficient you become because your body doesn't need to use up as much of its vital reserves. So this is how you truly heal in any case. That's why people always write in and they say, have you ever helped in this particular condition? To be honest, we've now been working for over 2 decades with clients. We've seen hundreds of thousands of people, but it doesn't matter what your specific label is that you've been given. It does not matter. What matters is that we find what are your deficiencies, what are your toxicities? Because if we can remove your toxicities and we can bring up your deficiencies, we can bring you back to a healthy individual as you were most likely at some point in your life. So the goal then is to look at it instead of disease-based labels, we want to look at underlying root causes. And once we can return the body to a state of equilibrium, dynamic equilibrium, we understand that the body is then healthy. And a healthy body can't be sick. A healthy body can't be diagnosed with a disease. So hopefully today's show is helpful. I have lots of podcasts on EMFs, and I'm going to link those up here today. And I also have a few more podcasts on histamines and allergies, and I'll link those up as well. So head on over right now to stevencabral.com/2790 for those additional shows, plus the 3 big takeaways. And if you haven't already got your copy of The Rain Barrel Effect, I would love to ship you one for free. Head on over to stevencabral.com/2790 for all the details. And of course, share the show with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care, everybody. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.